The air crackled with more than just the dry heat of the Sahel sun on Saturday, June 14, 2025, over the parade grounds of the George NAMOANO Military Academy, AMGN, in Po, Burkina Faso. This was no ordinary graduation ceremony. It was a potent declaration of resolve, a forging of continental solidarity, and a poignant tribute to sacrifice, presided over by a leader embodying the nation's fierce struggle. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Faso, Head of State, and Supreme Commander of the National Armed Forces, stood as both witness and architect to the commissioning of 135 new officers, the 24th Regular Officer Cadet Class, a crucial infusion of leadership into the heart of West Africa's most volatile security landscape. The significance of this event resonated far beyond the immediate pomp and circumstance. In a region besieged by persistent jihadist insurgencies, communal violence, and complex geopolitical tensions, the AMGN has emerged as a vital crucible for producing the next generation of military leaders. This graduation wasn't merely about awarding ranks, it was about deploying highly specialized human capital into an existential fight. The Academy, named after a revered Burkina Faso military figure, represents a beacon of indigenous resilience, training officers not just in conventional warfare, but in the brutal, asymmetric realities defining the Sahel conflict. Captain Traoré's personal presence underscored the state's absolute priority, security, and sovereignty. His journey from military commander to head of state, forged in the fires of the very conflict these cadets are destined to confront, lent an unparalleled gravity to the proceedings. He wasn't just a dignitary, he was their supreme commander, intimately understanding the trials ahead. This 24th intake, or cuvée as traditionally termed, stood out for its remarkable diversity and symbolic weight. Comprising 135 freshly minted officers, its strength lay not just in numbers, but in its Pan-African composition. Burkina Faso contributed the core, 110 sons ready to defend their homeland. But crucially, they were joined by 25 brothers in arms from 10 allied nations: Benin, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Congo, Djibouti, Guinea, Mali, Senegal, Chad, and Togo. This multinational cohort represents a deliberate and strategic investment in regional security architecture. Each graduate returning to their respective nation carries back not only advanced military skills, but also the shared doctrine, operational understanding, and personal bonds forged in Po. This network of AMGN-trained officers, dispersed across critical conflict zones and potential flashpoints, creates an invaluable lattice of interoperability and mutual understanding, a subtle yet powerful counter to the transnational nature of the threats they face. It signals a move towards African-led solutions and deeper security integration, even as formal regional bodies like ECOWAS navigate internal fractures. The ceremony took on a profoundly deeper emotional and motivational layer when Captain Traoré bestowed upon the class its enduring identity, the Captain ZOUMA Maxime promotion. This act was far more than ceremonial naming. It was a visceral transmission of legacy and a stark reminder of the stakes. Captain ZOUMA Maxime was not a figure from distant history, but a comrade who had fallen on the front lines, a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice on the battlefield. By etching his name onto this class, Traoré directly linked these young officers to the blood price already paid. His words cut through the formality. The fact of giving the name of an officer fallen on the front lines is a strong message sent to these young officers. It is the beginning of a mission that the nation has entrusted to them by making them officers, and their mission is henceforth to fight to liberate the country and avenge all these officers who led the fight until the supreme sacrifice. The message was unambiguous. Their commissioning was not an endpoint, but the commencement of a sacred duty, liberation, and retribution. This baptism imbued their ranks with a somber purpose, transforming their graduation into a covenant with the fallen. Adding further weight to this legacy was the appointment of Brigadier General Vinta Sum as the promotion's patron. General Sum is no stranger to sacrifice, bearing the visible and invisible scars of Burkina Faso's long conflict. His presence as a living embodiment of resilience and continued service, guiding the class named after a martyr, created a powerful continuum. The veteran, who endures mentoring the new generation tasked with avenging the lost. It solidified the narrative that the path of these officers is one of constant vigilance and unwavering commitment, under the watchful eye of those who have walked the hardest miles before them. What exactly had these 135 men endured and mastered during their time within the demanding confines of the AMGN? The class delegate, Sous-Lieutenant Zundi Marc Victorien, provided insight. They received a sharp, diversified training oriented towards the challenges of the moment. This concise statement belied the intensity and specialization of their curriculum, meticulously designed to counter the specific evolving threats plaguing the Sahel. Their transformation from cadets to commissioned sous-lieutenant involved immersion in high-stakes disciplines critical for modern counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations. Improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Mastery in identifying, neutralizing, and mitigating the effects of IEDs is paramount. These devices are the primary killers of soldiers and civilians alike in the region. Training involves not just technical disposal skills, but also understanding emplacement patterns, triggering mechanisms, and the devastating psychological impact of these indiscriminate weapons. Tactical employment. Moving beyond basic drills, this encompasses complex small unit tactics, ambush and counter-ambush procedures, room clearing, close quarters battle, CQB, and survival skills in hostile environments, particularly the vast, arid terrain characteristic of the Sahel. It's about outthinking and outmaneuvering a fluid, often invisible enemy. Motorized combat. Given the vast distances and limited infrastructure, proficiency in operating and fighting from vehicles is essential. Training covers convoy operations, planning, security, reaction to contact, mobile fire support, rapid deployment, and maintenance under austere conditions. This ensures mobility and firepower projection across challenging landscapes. Operational intelligence, the lifeblood of effective operations. Cadets learned intelligence gathering techniques, HUMINT, SIGINT basics, analysis, threat assessment, and crucially, how to translate raw intelligence into actionable operational plans. Understanding the enemy's networks, motivations, and tactics is half the battle won. This curriculum, demanding both physically and intellectually, reflects the Academy's commitment to producing not just soldiers, but thinking warrior leaders capable of independent command and complex decision-making under extreme duress. Their training was a direct response to the brutal lessons learned on Burkina Faso's own battlefields. Captain Traoré's address to the newly commissioned officers was less a congratulatory speech and more a direct operational briefing fused with a profound moral charge. He distilled their immense responsibility into clear, unflinching directives, urging each officer to embody 3 core pillars. Be a professional soldier. This transcends basic competence. It demands mastery of evolving military technology, strict adherence to the laws of armed conflict and rules of engagement, unwavering discipline, and the ability to lead with both authority and empathy. In a region where conflict can blur lines, professionalism is the bedrock of legitimacy and effectiveness. It means prioritizing the mission and the welfare of their men above all else. Be a committed and focused man. This speaks to the character required. The fight demands absolute dedication, mental fortitude to withstand hardship and loss, and an unbreakable focus on the strategic objective, securing the nation and its people. Distraction or wavering commitment in this environment is fatal. It requires a depth of personal resolve that sustains them through the darkest moments. Continuously adapt to the threat. Recognizing the enemy's own capacity for adaptation is crucial. Jihadist groups constantly evolve their tactics, exploit new technologies, and seek vulnerabilities. Traoré emphasized that static thinking is defeat. Officers must be agile, intellectually curious, and proactive in analyzing the changing threat landscape, innovating tactics, and anticipating enemy moves. Complacency is the harbinger of failure. This triad, professionalism, commitment, and adaptability, forms what could be termed the nascent Traoré doctrine for the next generation of Burkinabe and allied officers. It's a doctrine forged in the unforgiving crucible of Burkina Faso's recent history, demanding excellence and resilience as non-negotiable traits. His reference to the Burkinabe soldier fearing nothing, a sentiment he echoed powerfully days earlier to leaders in the Center-South region, "Le militaire burkinabé n'a peur de rien," was not mere bravado, but a statement of the indomitable spirit required. These officers are now the standard bearers of that spirit. Amidst the solemnity of the graduation rites and the weight of the speeches, Captain Traoré unveiled a significant strategic development: the ongoing construction of a new military academy, driven by his personal commitment. While details like the precise location remain undisclosed, though likely in a strategically sensitive area like Dori or Fada Ngourma, the implications are profound. This expansion signifies a massive scaling up of Burkina Faso's officer training capacity. Moving beyond the AMGN's current limitations, the new institution aims to potentially train over 300 cadets annually. More importantly, it signals an evolution in training focus, anticipated to include specialized, technology-intensive domains essential for 21st century warfare. Cyber warfare, defending critical infrastructure, countering online radicalization and recruitment, and developing offensive cyber capabilities against enemy communications and propaganda networks. Drone operations, mastering reconnaissance, surveillance, target acquisition, RSTA, and potentially offensive drone strikes, a technology increasingly pivotal in the Sahel conflict, offering force multiplication and reduced risk to personnel. Advanced intelligence fusion, integrating data from diverse sources, signals, imagery, human intelligence, into a coherent operational picture. Logistics and sustainment, mastering the complex art of supplying forces across vast, insecure territories. This expansion is a direct response to the alarming 58% surge in jihadist attacks within Burkina Faso during 2024, as tracked by ACLED. It represents a concrete step towards achieving greater self-reliance in security matters, reducing dependence on potentially fleeting international partnerships. The new academy embodies the tangible commitment to building indigenous, long-term capacity to confront an enduring threat. A commitment literally laid in brick and mortar, even as the officers who will eventually teach and study there were receiving their commissions nearby. As the final salutes were rendered and the echoes of the national anthem faded over Po, 135 newly commissioned sous-lieutenants dispersed. Their paths would lead them back to Burkina Faso's embattled north and east, or to the varied challenges facing their home nations across West and Central Africa. But they carried with them more than just their rank insignia and diplomas. They bore the heavy, honorable burden of the Captain ZOUMA Maxime promotion, a constant reminder of the sacrifice they are duty-bound to honor and avenge. They carried the explicit, demanding charge of their supreme commander, to be consummate professionals, men of unwavering focus and commitment, capable of adapting to an enemy that knows no rest. And they carried the weight of expectation from nations relying on their skills to turn the tide against insecurity. The graduation at the Georgia NAMOANO Military Academy on June 14, 2025, was therefore a multifaceted event. It was a testament to Burkina Faso's determination to fight its own battles with its own trained leaders. It was a strategic investment in regional security through the bonds forged among a multinational officer corps. It was a deeply emotional homage to fallen heroes, channeling grief into resolve. It was the unveiling of a clear, demanding doctrine for modern warfare in a complex region. And it was the announcement of an ambitious infrastructure project, signaling a long-haul commitment to security sovereignty. In the 135 faces of the new sous-lieutenant, one could see not just the pride of achievement, but the steely resolve of sentinels stepping onto the ramparts, entrusted with the formidable task of liberation in a land where peace remains a hard-fought dream. Their training in Po was complete. Their real mission, under the watchful eyes of Captain ZOUMA's memory and Captain Traoré's command, had just begun. The fate of nations, in many ways, now rests upon their shoulders and the edge of their honed skills.